Hey everyone, welcome back to the Catholic Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Fisher. Thank you for joining today's guest. I'm super excited. Before we get to them, I want to ask the question of the week to all you Catholic entrepreneurs, creatives, listeners out there. What is one marketing goal you have for 2024? What's one huge effort you want to pursue in marketing for your business, for your project, whatever you're doing right now? What's that thing in 2024? Let me know on Twitter and tag the Catholic Entrepreneur Podcast, tag me, Twitter, Instagram, and I want to hear your answers. Before we get to our guest, thank you for listening. Really excited about how this show's been going so far. We're getting a lot of good guests. I have a lot of good guests already lined up for the next few months. So keep on listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're also on YouTube now. So thank you for being a part of this journey. Without further ado, today's guest is John Donahue. John Donahue is with Truth Charting, and I'm not even going to get into any details about him because I want him to introduce himself. So here we go. Let's let John in right now. John, how are you doing?
Hey, Mitch. How's it going? I'm great.
Good. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, and I actually just saw one of the projects, one of the videos you released this morning on Instagram. I just really admire your work. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Mitch.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So go into get as personal as you want. Who are you, and what's Truth Charting?
Sweet. Hey, all. I'm John. I run a social media account called Truth Charting. The mission of Truth Charting is to show Gen Z that being Catholic isn't boring. That Catholicism is not a dead religion or it's an old religion, as in it's traditional and it's 2,000 years old. But the ambiance and the vibe of the church doesn't have to be retired parishes. So my whole mission is to go out, find the most exciting things happening within the church, and document that in a way that Gen Z will actually watch. So a big part of my job is just studying what Gen Z watches right now, what works, what are they interested in, video retention rates, stuff like that. So part of my job is watching Mr. Beast and seeing what's working for him and trying to incorporate whatever is good about these other big content creators. So I try to find what's working with them, and whatever is good, I try to incorporate that with Truth Charting and then get rid of all of the trash. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it started because I was working at a parish as a youth minister and a communications coordinator there. And what I realized was there was a lot of kids coming through that their only view of the Catholic faith was the confirmation class. So like their parents weren't even really bringing them to mass. And it wasn't like our church wasn't offering good opportunities for them. It was just like the culture has become, now you get confirmation, and then the next time that you come to mass is on Easter or Christmas or something like that. So that's not everyone's experience, but large in part, that seems to be what a lot of young people are experiencing in the churches. Yeah, church to me was after I sat in a classroom for 8 hours at school, I had to come sit in another classroom for 2 hours and listen to why I should care about my faith. Instead, I think a better method and a more effective method would be to let them experience what it's like to be Catholic. So send them on a retreat, let them go climb a mountain with their friends in Georgia and fall and break an arm or something like that. Like just go out and live the Catholic life, because life with Christ is an adventure. And yeah, that's all I got.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. No, that's so cool. That's a great start. So how long ago did you start? And obviously, like you kind of described your mission. What were the initial challenges or ideas that you had to get this started? Like, what was that like in those first few weeks, days, months of trying to get Truth Charting going? And if you have any fun stories from that too, would love to hear those.
Yeah, the idea was conceived in 2020 with some conversations with my buddy Joseph, who's my confirmation sponsor, and my brother Jim. And we were really inspired by what Matt Fradd was doing with Pints with Aquinas. I mean, and I saw to me, what really stuck out about it was the fact that this was his full-time job. Like he didn't have to do a side gig. Like this was his literal job, and he was making money from it somehow. And he was raising a family on it. So that inspired in me. I was like, yeah, this is possible. Somebody's doing it. And the Lord has given me so many opportunities to learn filmmaking and how to create videos really well and how to edit. And at the time I was working as a freelance camera operator, I had studied filmmaking throughout all of high school and graduated with a pretty good education in filmmaking. So I was doing freelance film work. In 2021, I think it was, I eventually quit my job working at the church as the youth minister and communications guy. And I decided I was going to just do freelance camera work as the bill payer while I try to build Truth Charting. So Truth Charting was always the goal right when I quit working at the church. So, yeah, it was tough, man. The first year and a half, you have no idea if it's going to be successful or not. I really have a lot to owe my business mentor, John Andrew, for just continuing to encourage me in perseverance. And I think that's the reason why Truth Charting is my full-time job right now, is because of perseverance. Among a bunch of other things, and it is because of the grace of God, ultimately. And he gave me the grace to persevere through a year and a half ago when I was like, just not getting any traction, I'm going to give up. When really all that needed to happen was a slight pivot. And that slight pivot was moving from YouTube to Instagram. Because YouTube was, it takes a lot more investment to make a YouTube video, actually. So YouTube videos took me probably like a 2 or 3 weeks to make a good one. Because I was making like 20-minute videos, long form content, but just weren't catching on because YouTube algorithm is like just a lot slower to get traction there. At the same time, Instagram was going through this short form boom, just like TikTok had kind of paved the way for a few years earlier. And so I started making short form vertical content that was made for vertical viewing. And I think that is what made Truth Charting stand out in the get-go, was that there was people making short form content, but they were going with horizontal image, and you would see black bars on the bottom and the top, and it was just obvious that this video wasn't made for this app, and I would swipe. So I noticed that pretty early on, and I said, okay, what can I do to actually start making content that's made for this app that people feel invested into when they watch it? And that is when, like, as soon as I started doing that, traction started. And then I went and I visited the tomb of Blessed Carlo Acutis in Italy. Somebody paid for me to go out there and take some wedding photos for them. And I was able to like go to Assisi while I was there. And Blessed Carlo Acutis is like a huge inspiration to me. I remember watching his beatification live stream and just weeping. And so I sat by his tomb and I was praying, because I was like, I'm not making almost any money from Truth Charting. I don't know how this is ever going to be my full-time job. I'm not getting enough traction. And it was just like, John, do you feel called to do this? Do you think that the Lord is calling you to do this? And then I read through my journal and read through my prayer, and the answer was yes. Like, I feel very convicted that the Lord wants me to do this. And then it was just like, okay, then like, shut up, stop worrying. And ever since then, it's like I've been blessed to not have to worry about, am I doing the right thing? Because it's just been very clear. And it was the video that I made about Carlo Acutis that was the real kickstart for Truth Charting's like popularity. So that was a very full circle moment when it was that video. It was through the I know almost for certain it's by the intercession of Blessed Carlo Acutis that here I am, and Truth Charting is my full-time job.
Wow. That's really beautiful. I did one of the videos that stuck out that you made was when you were trying to get to the highest point at the Vatican. Is that right?
Hmm.
You were go to the how did that like happen? Like go into the backstory of that and just what
Yeah.
that process was like.
Yeah. Yeah, my best friend Zach and I started an endeavor before that, just a couple months before that, to go to the highest point in all 50 states because we want to pray a rosary for the bishops and the priests of the entire of America. We want to show our support for our bishops and our church leaders and give them the prayers that they need, and encourage other people to do it. So a really cool way to do that would be to go out on our own adventures and document these videos of just climbing mountains, really. And I just happened to be on this trip in, there was a lot of other reasons that I went on that trip, but that was one of the things that I thought of before I flew out there was I'm pretty sure there's a way to get to the top of the dome, and I'm almost positive that's the highest point in the Vatican, which is its own country. So I was like, I would be kicking myself if I didn't do this. So that's how that whole idea was conceived. I wish Zach was there doing it with me, but it was a cool little side quest for our 50 states endeavor.
Yeah. Have you been in Nebraska yet?
Not yet.
Okay. I don't even
We
know what the highest point is, but that's where I'm at is Nebraska. So let me know when
Nice.
you make it out here.
Yeah, we'll do. We haven't even made it really out west at all. We've hit up 17 states on the eastern side, but yeah. When we start heading west, it's going to be crazier. A lot of these points on the
Right.
east side are like you drive your car right up to it, and it's no
Yeah.
problem.
Right. Very cool. How do you get your ideas for videos? Like, I feel like you have a lot. Like your content is super quality, and it's cool to see that. I mean, almost every week you're producing something new, something that's no one else is doing, like even remotely close. So, how are you getting these ideas? How are you constantly being able to create? Like, what's your creativity process like?
Thanks. I saw a tweet today that I really disagree with. The tweet was from Alex Hermosi, and he said it was a marketing pro tip. He said to block all of your competitors on social media so that they don't influence what you're doing. Maybe that works in certain industries. I think the reason that truth charting is like good and people like it is because I take inspiration from pretty much everything else on Instagram. I mean, uh, one of my top like when any new creator asks me advice, I say go find a secular creator that is doing the highest quality content of a niche kind of like yours. It doesn't even have to be your niche, but just the format of video. Go find the format of video and find the person who's doing it best, and then copy what they're doing and put it into your niche or what you want to do, the message that you want to convey. So the answer to your question is, yeah, some of my things are original ideas, but for the most part, I gather inspiration from what I consider to be the best of the best in the secular and Christian content creation worldview.
How was the OSV competition? I saw it. So I'll be very. This is I don't like. I want to give you props here. So you had a video about business, Catholic businesses, Catholic owned businesses, and just like entrepreneurship, and that was a huge. I had been kind of mulling over this idea of this podcast, and when I saw that video, that was like the hey, you need to do this. So thank you for that. That video was
Come on.
awesome. Yeah, like that was the tipping point. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So it's so like cool to have you on as a guest. But so that was a neat video and very inspiring. And seriously, like the statistics you had in there, and just like the message needs to be heard more because we don't talk about that enough. What was it like for you applying, for the OSV competition? I'm guessing that was still in like the earlier days of trying to figure this all out. What were some things you learned there, kind of on the business side, that you would, takeaways, things that you might tell other entrepreneurs that are kind of in where you were at a couple years ago?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this in the shower this morning, actually, the OSB challenge. So I started the OSV challenge at the exact same time I started truth charting. And it was easy for a lot of it to just pretend, or not to pretend, but to think that I already knew all of this stuff that they're telling me. The OSV Challenge, I'll just give like a quick overview of what it is. It's a Catholic business competition to help like Catholic startups actually get capital. And it's a capital donation. It's not an investment, so you don't have to pay it back. It's like a capital investment of $100,000. They did $500,000 prizes in different tracks. And it's a year-long competition, and throughout that competition, you're going through a course, like a school, basically, for business. It's easy at the end of it, when you don't win the money, to think, what a waste of time. Because you're dedicating probably about 5 hours a week to this thing. And I was thinking about it this morning in the shower, and I realized, now I'm a year removed from it, and I'm looking back and I'm thinking, actually, that was an incredibly beneficial course for me to go through at the age of 21 or 22 when I was doing it. That, with the combination of my business partner, helped form my brain into such a business-minded individual that I think it really does show and play into the success of truth charting. I would say one of the most important lessons that I learned in that course, and this is something that I think we struggle with a lot in the Catholic world. It's this idea that, or Catholic artists, I think sometimes will have this thought where I'm a good artist and I deserve people to see what I'm doing. And I feel like almost entitled to receive, receive accolades and people to give me money for what I'm doing because it's good. This course, the combination of this course and my business mentor, John Andrew, really just helping me out a whole lot through this time, taught me that that's the mindset of a really, really, really bad business person. What is actually a helpful thought for a business person is, what are my skills and talents? What are my strengths? And then what value can I offer people that they actually want? Not what value do I want to create and then everyone should love it. It's what value, what are the strengths that I have? What's the value that I can offer that people really want? And it takes a really long time to figure out what that is. So on those early years, not years, I'm only in my second year now of truth charting, but in those early months of making content, I shifted during the course to, instead of making whatever I wanted, to trying and just A/B testing stuff. What do people want? What do people want? What do people actually want? And you just keep throwing stuff out into the ether until one thing goes right, and then you keep doing something similar. And if it keeps succeeding, keep doing that, and don't stop doing what's working. There's a lot of other really great business things that I learned in the OSV Challenge, and the farther removed I get from it, the more grateful I am that I did it, and the more grateful I am that I actually didn't win the money. I think I would have learned less lessons over the past year if I had won the money than I did this past year not winning it. So
very cool.
Really grateful for our Sunday Visitor and really grateful for the challenge. I wish they were still doing it. I think they've discontinued it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was a really good experience overall.
What's it been like? You said you're a couple years in. What's been some of the things that have happened since you've started to reach more people? You know, getting more followers, just the awareness factor. There's a lot more Catholics and Gen Z Catholics aware of what you're doing. How has that impacted you as an individual? How has that allowed you to grow even more? I mean, what's it been like, just the networking piece of it? I'm curious. It's interesting with social media, especially a social media first business model, I guess, what that's been like to create in-person opportunities for you, as you kind of grow truth charting.
Mm-hmm. A couple months back, there had been so many opportunities in my inbox that I stopped making content. So I was taking so many Zoom calls and I was taking so many different opportunities that I stopped doing the one thing that truth charting is supposed to do. And so around the same time, I met uh, a man who goes to our parish who works for a prominent Catholic company, and we connected, and he's been helping me with some with some business side of things, business mentorship, and he has a family. He has like 8 kids. He runs a school on the side, and he is like the head publisher for Word on Fire. And I'm thinking, like, I was seriously considering. I was like, I don't know how on earth I'm going to do truth charting and also have a family in the future. Like, how on earth could I do that? So I think I kind of asked him that point blank, and then he said, let me send you a book. So he sent me a book called Essentialism, and I'm reading through that now. So the idea of essentialism is less is better, and instead of trying to put your energy in so many different directions, instead of trying to diversify your energy so much that you have your hands in so many different cookie jars, just like early on, spend that time early on discerning what's going to be your number one priority. One of my favorite things that the book has said is that the term priorities, plural, like was not a word until the 1900s, is almost an oxymoron in itself, because priority means the one thing, like the one thing that's supposed to be on top. So that book has helped me out substantially. I do have like a couple of number one priorities, and it's helping me to narrow down on what is the one thing, what is most important that I spend time on. And 2 months ago, I kind of decided, I was like, it would actually be best, I think, for truth charting if I stopped answering every single email. If I totally just like didn't even look at my email for the rest of the year and for the next 3 months, just made content. That would actually be best for truth charting in the long term. But I'm not going to do that, because that would be that would also not be good in some other ways. So yeah, what I did do though is I started a new email address, and that's been really helpful, because now there's a lot of spam emails that I'm not getting anymore. So essentially, all that to say, opportunities are awesome. Networking is awesome as well, and it's very good to allot very guarded time to networking each week. So what I try to do is maybe keep that down to 1 or 2 Zoom meetings a week for networking purposes or for potential sponsorship purposes, things like that. But what's really important for truth charting is that I'm spending 40 hours a week editing a video so that I can try my best to get one out each week.
Definitely. No, I love that. I think that's an important thing, especially today. I mean, like, we're so distracted people. And so being able to focus on the thing, like you said, I like that priority versus priorities. I've never thought about that before, but I'll have to read that book. So I'll have to connect with you after this to get the link to that. But what's few things. So what's your biggest piece of advice for Catholic entrepreneurs and creatives? And let's get specific, like young Catholic entrepreneurs, creatives like you, who are very like much getting started. Maybe they're kind of where you were at 2 years ago as you were starting truth charting, and they want to do something, and maybe they don't even know what they want to do. They just know they have like something in them that they want to pursue. So what's your biggest piece of advice for that person?
Yeah, in the social media realm specifically, you have 2 options. You can go with a quantity over quality approach where you post every single day, but it's like something that you spent maybe 30 minutes to an hour on. Or you can go over the quality over quantity approach where maybe you work on a video for 3 days or 4 days and you post once or twice a week. Both of them work. Both of those 2 things work. The quantity over quality approach, you'll get less views per video, but the same amount of followers, because you're getting the same amount of weekly viewers total, because it's being spread out across how many times that you sent something out into the ether. Quality over quantity approach, you're much more likely to create a viral video that gets shared multiple times. With truth charting, I've gone with the quality over quantity approach where we post maybe once a week, and I'm trying to get that up. So hopefully within the next 6 months, I will have someone on my team to help me with editing. But both of these options are good, valid options that you can go with, but it's very important that you're intentional with both of them. So with the quality over quantity approach, this is what I prefer because I hope to encourage a culture of excellence within Catholic business and ministry. Like that's where I want to go. I don't want people to be talking about the Mormons as the head honchos of business and community and ministry, because for the past few years, I mean, that's how they've been talked about. It's like, yeah, the Mormons are excellent business people. What if we were able to look at ourselves as Catholics and be like, okay, what's more important that we could invest into than Christ and his church? Like, why do our youth ministers get paid peanuts? Like that's kind of like my headspace is, we tell our children that our church is not important by paying our youth ministers $20,000 a year. We tell our children that church is not important by not investing into it. So we tell our children what's important by what we spend our time and energy and money on. So because you can say words, you can give your kids lectures, but they learn by what you do. So back to the culture of excellence. That's why I've chosen to do quality over quantity approaches, because I really do want to create the highest quality content within the Catholic Church. Like I want to get our standards up. For the past 10, 15 years, I've been tired of being a young person in the Catholic faith and just like seeing our websites that just suck, seeing our bulletins that have clip art in them, and it's like really corny. So like I want to totally change that whole culture of, like the Catholic Church is always 15 years in the past when it comes to technology. That needs to change. Like, what if instead we looked back to the Renaissance and we were like, hey, you know how the Catholic Church was actually like way ahead of everyone else in the topics of art and architecture and a lot of other things, and that was because they were willing to invest millions of dollars into St. Peter's Basilica and things like that. All right, so that's my little pitch for culture of excellence within Catholic business and ministry. That's why I've chosen to do the quality over quantity approach. And I think if we get enough creators doing quality over quantity, then we create this thing in the social media world where people who are on the internet start coming across some super high quality, beautiful content. And they're like, what's going on with the Catholics and all of their awesome social media posts? Like that's kind of what I want to see maybe 5 years from now.
What's kind of next for you? Obviously you're continuing to create quality content. What's something you're looking forward to this next year with Truth Charting that you're able to share that maybe people don't know that's coming up?
Yeah. Well, I hope to grow the team. I hope that this year is the year that like I can get an editor on board and maybe a producer too, that will allow more time for driving the boat for me. So for vision casting and for bringing us to the end of the 5-year plan where we can actually launch a product that continues to support truth charting and its content creation for the rest of its business life. So yeah, not much that I can say about the product that we hope to launch in 5 years. But what I can say for this next year is that I hope to add 2 members to the team. I hope to do a lot more traveling this summer. I hope to create some of the most exciting, engaging, and entertaining Catholic content within YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And I really hope that I tell a lot of young people that it's not boring to be Catholic.
I'm looking forward to continuing to follow you and all that you're sharing. Again, seriously, like your work is amazing. So thank you for all that you do, John, for the Catholic Church and just with Truth Charting. Where can people find you? Just give a little spiel about like where people can find all your work and connect with you.
Yeah, thanks. Truthcharting.com is the website. You can become a monthly giver there, join the Patreon, find our Instagram account, find our YouTube account. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, all at Truth Charting. So That's all.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Well, John, thank you so much, seriously, for taking the time to chat. This is awesome just for me to hear your story, and it's just very life giving to have conversations like this. So thank you so much, and
Thanks for having
wishing
me
you the
on,
best of
Mitch.
luck. And
Yeah.
absolutely, of course, of course. Yeah, good luck in 2024, and look forward to continue to watch your content.
Thanks. Have a great rest of your day.